Hey guys, hoping all is well with everybody. In this video, we're going to be continuing the practice algebra exam, starting with question number 7. So question number 7 asks us to evaluate the following expression if m equals -1, n equals 2, and p equals 4. And our expression that we're asked to evaluate is m cubed minus 2n plus p over 2 is equal to, and then we have a solution bank down here as our potential value. So there's two ways that you can approach this question. The first one is to go ahead and directly substitute in all of your values for the corresponding variables of which they are associated with. The other option that you have is, by a step-by-step fashion, go ahead and substitute in each variable one at a time. They both work. It's just whatever is more comfortable for you. So let's go ahead and directly substitute in all of our values for the corresponding variables. So we have -1 cubed, and I always like to put my negative numbers in a parentheses because it keeps housekeeping and bookkeeping a lot more organized. Minus 2 times, I'm inferring multiplication here, 2 plus 4 over 2. Okay, now let's go ahead and, again, you want to be very careful with these types of evaluations because you really want to make sure that you are following your standard order of operations. So remember, parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. Also remember that with multiplication and division as a pair and addition and subtraction as a pair, they work hand in hand with each other. You can work from left to right if they are both present, and all other operations are taken priority as appropriate. So -1 cubed is going to be our first priority as exponents. -1 times -1 times -1 is going to be -1. One trick that you can keep in mind with negatives to exponents is that if you have a negative number to an odd exponent, your value will be negative. If you have a negative value to an even exponent, you are going to have a positive value. Okay? So continuing on, if we have 2 times 2 is 4, plus 4 divided by 2 is 2. Now, this is kind of where I mentioned that if we take addition and subtraction, they are both the same priority level. So we can work from left to right here. So -1 minus 4 is -5 plus 2 equals -3. Okay? So -3 is indeed our answer. Alright. So just remember, with this kind of question, you just want to be very careful. Remember your standard order of operations. So P, parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. Parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction. Okay? Alright, so let's look at the next question. Alright. So number 8. Number 8 says that if x equals -1 and y equals 1, positive 1, calculate the value of and then my expression is going to be y times x squared plus 9 over the quantity y plus 1. Now, here's is kind of like the same thing from the last question. What we can do here is go ahead and directly substitute x and y for their corresponding values. But again, we're going to want to be very careful here. As we're directly substituting, let's make sure that we're taking care of negative values, watching signs, etc. So we'll do x first. So negative 1 squared plus 9. And then we have 1 on the outside here. 1 plus 1. Alright. So let's start with exponents. So this one right here is kind of, I don't want to say it's obsolete because it doesn't matter, because if it were any other value it would also have a more influential impact on this expression. But because 1 times anything is itself, we can just account for it right now. So 1 times this expression is obviously going to be the answer or value to the expression. It's kind of like the identity of multiplying by 1. Any value times 1 is that value. Okay? So let's go ahead and continue. I'm going to start with my numerator and then my denominator. So negative 1 squared is positive 1. Remember from the last equation, if I have a negative value to an even exponent, my value will be positive. Then we'll add 9 and get 10. And then we have 1 plus 1, which is 2, which is 5. And I apologize, the answers that they give us for this question are A of negative 1, B 5, C 7, D 10, and E is 12. So we do definitely see 5 there as one of our options. Okay. Alright, so we do have 5 as our potential answer. So again, in a recap with this question, just be very careful and make sure you watch your negative values to your even and odd exponents. And like I said, the reason I like to do numerator and then denominator is, again, it just keeps housekeeping and things like that just more organized, and I can easily be watchful of the signs as I'm moving forward in my equation. Okay? Alright. Let's do one more. Alright, so question number 9 says that calculate the value of the expression where A equals 2B and 3B equals 6. And my expression is A squared minus B squared minus 2A plus 3B. Now, this question, when you first look at it, can be very, very deceiving. What you want to do, instead of substituting A for 2B, what you want to do right away in this question is solve for your variables and what they're equal to. Because 3B equals 6, I can solve directly for what B is. Okay, instead of making it much more harder and dealing with variables later, if I substitute in and I can determine the actual value of my variables from the start, it will make life a whole lot easier. So, from a standard equation, we have 3b equals 6. If I want to solve for b or isolate it, I just want to undo whatever is being done to it. So if I have 3 being multiplied by b, to solve for b, all I have to do is divide both sides by 3. 6 divided by 3 is 2, so b equals 2. Now that I know what b is equal to, I can go ahead and sub it in for this equation where a is equal to 2b. Because a is equal to 2b and b equals 2, that means that a is equal to 2 times 2, which is equal to 4. Okay? Now we know exactly what both b and a are. So, because we know that, now we can just go ahead and directly substitute a and b for their corresponding values. Okay? What we'll do is one at a time, again, following our standard order of operations, but we'll go ahead and directly substitute in 2 and 4 for b and a. So a is 4, so we have 4 squared minus 2 squared minus 2 times 4 plus 3 times 2. Now remember, we want to do our standard order of operations here. Starting with our exponents, we have 4 squared is 16, minus 2 squared, which is 4, minus, now we can do the multiplication, 2 times 4 is 8, plus 3 times 2 is 6. Now we just want to take it a step further and go ahead, and because remember, subtraction and addition flow hand in hand, so they can be followed left to right simultaneously. Okay, we don't have to account for addition before subtraction if subtraction falls first, as long as the other operations are taking priority when necessary. 16 minus 4 is 12, minus 8 is 4, 4 plus 6 equals 10. And again, I apologize for not putting the possible answers. The possible answers for this question are a equals -4, b equals -1, c is 10, d is 17, and E is 22. So again, recapping this question, it's very deceiving, and what would happen is you want to go ahead right away and solve for the actual values of A and B. What you might be tricked into doing is seeing this 3b right here and this 3b right here, you might just want to put in 6, and then the A is to 2b, which would be right here. And then right here again, you would be subbing in A for 2b, but it gets very complicated at that point, and it will mislead you to an incorrect answer. So what you want to do is, as soon as you can, solve for the A and B variables, which are going to be B equals to 2 and A equals to 4. Then you can just directly substitute in all of those values for A and B and solve the arithmetic, as long as you are following your standard order of operations. Okay? Alright guys, if you have any questions, don't ever hesitate to contact or message me, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.